Brad Knowles, producer of Friday Night Flies, hosted by Scott LeBoldis and Scotty Holmes. Enjoy the show. Alright, one-man wrecking crew here. Brad Knowles. I'm in my domain, my humble house up in the middle of nowhere, and just had to check audio here quick. Looks like we're good. I won't be answering questions live, of course, because like I said earlier, I am a one-man wrecking crew this week and last week and probably next week, being that everybody's kind of isolated and doing their own thing. This is my fly tying bench, ladies and gentlemen. This is where I've been spending a fair amount of time lately. But with recent news that fishing is opened in British Columbia now, I think I'll be spending a little bit of time on the rivers, a bit more than I am. I'm one of the fortunate ones that has a stream about 35 yards from my house, which is about 100 feet. And it's full of fish. So I've been pretty fortunate to be able to walk out periodically and wet my toes in this wet a line and catch a fish or two, and then walk home and go boat tying some new patterns. But lately, just kind of going over a few of the old patterns that I've been tying, and this one is one of those go-to patterns. I know you can see it down in the bottom here. This one's a BK Dragonfly Nymph. It's a variant of the original. I like it. I think it's going to be pretty fishy, and anybody that uses Dragonfly Nymphs knows that they pack a pretty nasty bite, and I think we talked about that in the description. They're not a fly or a nymph that you want to be touching, because if they get their chompers on you, it's similar to a spider bite. They inject a digestive enzyme into you, so it can make a pretty nasty scar. And trout, I assure you, know all about that bite. So if you're fly fishing with a dragonfly nymph and you get a strike, it literally feels like, it could be a small fish, but it feels like a giant. They hit like a freight train, explosive bites. I've lost numerous dragonfly nymphs on strike from big fish. So make sure your drag's loose. You don't really need to set hard, because they pretty well set the hook on themselves. And there isn't really too many ways you can fish a dragonfly nymph wrong. I've cast it into shallows, fish it off shoals. I've even used it as a bit of a locator pattern too, where you get out in your float tube, strip out your sinking line, and just kick away to the other side. And if the wind is blowing, sometimes I like to just throw it out there and let the wind push me around. And like I said, man, these fish hit it hard. I've also fished it similar to a booby, but not so much with this. More a gumpus. You can fish more like a booby. But if you let it sink toward the bottom and then get aggressive with your kick, it'll bring it back up, and usually within seconds of it darting, you'll get a big hit. And then similar, you can fish it by stripping it in quick, let it sink, strip quick, let it sink. I mean, this is a fly tying show, so we're gonna get back into tying flies, but it's always handy to know how to fish it. And the thing with this dragonfly nymph, there really isn't too many ways you can go about fishing it incorrectly. Another thing, I'd also like to congratulate once again Bill Borland for winning our Friday Night Flies contest. That is one hell of a flash fly, and you put up some really good numbers there. We're pretty impressed, and because of it, you got yourself one of our new trucker style hats. And it also has inspired us to do another quick contest. And while we're on the theme of dragonfly nymphs, I think that's going to be our next contest. Dragonfly nymphs don't need to be tied exactly the way that I tie them. As long as they look like a dragonfly nymph, I'm pretty good about it. But I think I'm going to open it up to dragonfly nymphs and damselfly nymphs. They're both a staple food for trout, especially in British Columbia, and that is what you're going to win. There's not many people out there that are going to be giving away, like, these retail between 70 and $100 depending where you're buying them. This is, in my opinion, the best UV light on the market. I've had mine. See, it's older. You see the solar is, it says right on there, solar is just above my middle finger. Same light, but now they come out with this funky purple on the ring, which is pretty badass, if you ask me. But I don't think there's too many fly tying instructions. Like, we don't make any money, plain and simple. But we are fortunate enough to have great sponsors. This is one of the companies, and we're going to give away a light for the person with the most likes that's shared to our Facebook page on their photo of either a Dragonfly Nymph or a Damselfly Nymph. But we're going to give it a little bit of a twist. So likes count as one, comments count as one, but you're only allowed one comment per person per fly, and shares are a multiplier. So say you've got 10 comments and likes, and then you get, you know, a couple shares, we're going to multiply it by the shares. So the reality is that you wouldn't need that many comments or likes to be a player in this game. So we'll draw that up the way it is, and hopefully you guys are kind of liking this. We want to see a little bit of feedback coming. This is a pretty serious gift, okay? Serious gift. Everybody's going to want this. So may the best fly win. Anyhow, let's go down. I think that was pretty exciting. I'm excited. We're giving away some pretty serious stuff here. So, without further ado, let's go down and have a quick look at this BK Dragonfly Nymph. This is absolutely deadly. I've caught tons and tons and tons and tons of fish on this Dragonfly Nymph. It's super simple to tie. The lighting isn't the greatest in here. I might just bring this light down a little bit down to it, but it kind of, yeah, there you go. It's showing a little bit better. Pretty simple. So when we're tying this guy, we're using a nifty yarn. It's called Tapestry Wool by Anchor. I buy it by the box. And when you look inside here, I've got a few different colors, and then I've got a few different beads as well. It's out of focus, but you guys get the idea. The color code that I'm tying on with this Anchor wool is a number 9310. Okay, if you can see that. What you're seeing here is not exactly the color it is when it gets wet. When it gets wet, it goes dark. So if you're thinking, wow, that's a pretty light Dragonfly Nymph, wrong. As soon as it gets wet, it gets really dark. Okay, most of the Dragonfly Nymphs that you guys are going to see out there are either going to be black, brown, or a very dark green. In this area, that's the color. That one, or a dark brown, which this is a lighter brown, but when it gets wet, same thing, goes really dark. And you guys are probably wondering what I'm using for eyes. I get this bead chain from, and this wool from a local sewing store in Pemberton called Boggs Fabric. I think 3 or 4 years ago when we did this this fly, we mentioned Boggs Fabric. It's a fabric store in Pemberton. It's a ma and pa business. It's run by a very nice elderly lady named Dawn Ross. She's been a Pemberton local as far as I can remember. I don't know how old she is, but she might as well be a second mother to a lot of single men in this community, that she does a lot of sewing for them. But we always recommend buying your gear from the ma and pa stores. Forget about those big conglomerates units that are out there. Support the local family run businesses and buy it locally. And that's what you're looking for. Anchor, wool. Good stuff. Bead chain. Anyhow, let's get busy and tie this fly. So we're gonna start off the hook that I'm using today, and as you can see, I'll show you a couple other ones that I've tied. So that hook there is a size 4, 2X, 5X, or that's a size 4, 2 extra heavy, 5XL. That's the hook right there for this fly. The ones that I was tying last week, I mean, you're going to have a range of them, right? So that fly, I'll tie it even bigger. You can see how much bigger that one is. It's a full size in the hook, and that's a size 2, in a 2X extra heavy, and a 5XL. So that is one big mother of a hook. And if you got any experience fishing Dragonfly Nymphs, it's always good to have a range of a few different sizes, and literally you can't go too big when it comes to Dragonfly Nymphs. I found the bigger, the better they work. Big fish don't tend to order off the kids menu, if you know what I'm saying. So we got this big ass hook, and what we're gonna do right off the hop, we're gonna go to some black thread or dark thread. See if I got some laying around here. There it is. You can tie it with black, or you can also use like a dark olive. I've got the dark olive here, and I've got black right here. I'm gonna go with black. This is a 3/0 uni thread. We're gonna lay a little bit of thread down on the shank. One thing you're gonna notice about tying big Dragonfly Nymphs is that you're gonna want a longer bobbin, right? One that's got a longer shank so you can get your thread to the back with ease. What you'll find is if you're using little stubbies, if you're tying nymphs, I've got a couple different ones here. So this one is longer shank, and then I think that's a Thompson. And then I also absolutely love the Griffin bobbins as well, and that's a little bit shorter. So, and I've got them even smaller than that one as well. So different range, different applications. So all we're going to do is just throw down a little bit of thread on top of this hook. Hopefully you guys are all staying healthy at home during these troubled times. I'm really enjoying reading all your guys' comments and looking at your guys' different patterns that you're tying. If you got a new pattern that's lights out, even if it isn't something that we're challenging people on with our contest, you're always welcome to share your patterns. So we've got this bead chain. Okay, you can get that at Box Fabric in Pemberton. Call up my good friend there, Dawn Ross. She'll take real good care of you. I'm not sure if she's doing mail orders or anything like that, but I'm sure she'll take good care of you either way. So what we do is clean up the ends, and what you're going to do is take 2 of them, cut them off, and look at that. You got eyeballs, just like that. I typically like a bigger size, but I've been tying a lot of these lately, being that we're just waiting for the guiding season to open up, and it's one of those go-to flies for us. So what you're going to want to do is stay pretty close to the head of the fly, not too close. So if you look at the width of my finger, you're probably going to be about 1/4 of an inch back from the eye of the hook. You want to save a little bit of room so you can build your head and finish it off, and you'll see how we do that. But simple figure 8s, lock it down. I mean, some guys will even just build the head up with thread. I've used thread. Thread works really well, but once it's on there, you can see it looks pretty buggy. You want to make sure that they're straight, so this one can come a little bit back, and make sure it's square with the, because you don't want it goofy-eyed. And there you go, perfect. Now what we're going to do is we're going to work our way back to the back, and this is where that longer bobbin comes in pretty handy. A couple years ago, one of the local farmers had this chicken that died, and he came into the store with this big ass chicken, and it was covered in some really nice feathers. He says, "Brad, I know you tie flies. I'd hate to see this dead chicken go to waste." I said, "Man, There's no such thing as a dead chicken going to waste in my neck of the woods. And I stripped that sucker, took a bunch of its feathers. I don't know what kind of bird it was, but it was a chicken. And I don't know if this, I'm going to just see if I got another feather here. But it's got a real neat shimmer, like a green hue on the feathers. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, there you go. You can actually see it. There's like a little bit of a reflective hue coming off of that feather. So it's got a little bit of a bluey green tint that comes off of that feather. Dead sexy. Absolutely buggy in my neck of the world. I mean, there's a lot of different things. Any of the beetles and bugs, they kind of have that shimmer. So what I'm doing is just stripping a bunch of those feathers off. The original Dragonfly, the BK Dragonfly Nymph, used pheasant tail, which is definitely a little bit more rigid. But one thing I did notice is if it isn't exactly perfect, those rigid feathers will make your fly want to roll over. So I'm hoping that if I don't tie these guys exactly perfect, I won't have to worry too much about roll. Because in the dragonfly world, roll is not good. You do not want your dragonfly rolling out there or coming in on its side. That's just one note that you should be aware of. Yeah, always look at your flies when they're out there and you're fishing them. If they're rolling, it's time to make some adjustments, even if it's just tweaking the head of your fly a little bit, but you want it to be straight up and down. If it's coming in like that, not going to work too well, especially when it comes to dragonfly nymphs. And you'll find out with minnow patterns, a lot of different patterns. So, there we go. Taper it out real nice. You don't want it clumpy in the back and then thin on the front. So we're building it up a little bit just to kind of get that smooth taper. And what we're going to do is go to the back end, and this is where this tapestry wool comes in damn sweet. So all we're going to do is just lay it up on the back of the fly, anchor it down, and work it back to just above that feather, smoothing it all out, go up to the head, throw a quick half inch, a quick whip finish or half inch, whatever, and rest your bobbin on the cradle. And this is the fun part. So now let's get busy making the body. So start right at the tail, and you see we're not overlapping yet. Just work it up, work it all the way up, following it as it goes up. You're going to stop just before the eyes. Turn, work its way back up over. Work it back. You can slowly see how this thing's coming together. You don't want to go all the way to the end. Just before it, stop and work your way back up to the front. So, I mean, you can make them real thick, or you can make them thin. Same thing. We're going to go back up to the front and work our way back a little bit. I like them a little bit fat. You'll find that they really look buggy when they're put together. Same thing. We're going to work our way. This time, we're going to work all the way up to the front. Whoa, getting a knot. All the way up to the front. This is where it gets a little tricky, because when you go off this front, it's going to want to roll over and make a mess. So you kind of have to just be real easy with it. And if it starts to come apart, you see how it rolled off the front there? Now's a good time to get your bobbin off the cradle and work it back up in behind the eyes, lock it down, cut this guy off, just like so. Pull this guy back a little bit if you can, and do the damage control. All the way up, and what we're doing is going to do a crisscross pattern all the way up. So you're working your way up with the dark thread and then back the other way, and that's going to keep it nicely together Don't worry too much about the fold over at the end here. If you're worrying about it too much, it's going to bother you. But you see how, look at that, crisscross. It looks a little goofy at this moment, but it'll come together nicely here. I assure you, I've had this happen before. So now, what we're going to do is go back to those funky feathers. But I'm sure happy that local farmers think of me when they got dead chickens. We're putting them to good use. So, same thing. We're going to take a bunch of those feathers off one side of the stem, pinch it together. We're going to just tuck it up tight to the eyeball. We're going to get this guy square, like a rotary vise. Ooh, moved it a bit. Okay, rotary vise. I got you so tight I couldn't even move you. Okay, right up tight to the eyeballs. Let's get an idea how long these guys are. I'm going to shorten them just a smidge. Right up tight to the eyeball. Wrap around loose just to see if we can get it. There we go. Bingo. Bazingo. There you go. You can see how that looks. Coming together. Next, we're going to go to the other side. Same thing. Strip these funky feathers. So I'm sure you guys probably got a few of these wet fly feathers at home. It's a soft hackle. We're going to just look at it. Some crazy eyes here. Try not to get my tongue out too much. If you get too much of that stem, it can create a little bit of chaos for you. So I'm thinking that this side's going to be a little bit thinner than the other side. That's easy. You can make that difference up. Same thing. Cut your ends nice and even. One nice loose wrap around. Trap it. You want it right up on the side. And the tighter you get back to that wool, it's going to start making it stand out. Don't worry about the odd stragglers because you can just grab them, pop them off if they're bugging you. And there you got it. There's your legs. Super simple. Everything's looking pretty A-okay. Now's the fun part. Building your head. You want to start off with pretty even taper both ways. So all I'm doing is just stacking a little bit of thread up in there. Make sure your leg length is somewhat even. You don't want them oddball. They're both pretty even. You got one loose feather on the tail. That'll make you crazy. Now, what we're going to do is go back to our dubbing. So, I'm not sure exactly what this one is. I said the last one was peacock. I think this one is bronze peacock, or black, or dark peacock. It's one of the peacock families, but it's really dark. It's dark with, same thing, hues of, looks like peacock, black peacock, but it's got brass in there. It looks like it's got a little shimmer of brass, bronze, copper. Dead sexy, no matter how you look at it. What we're going to do is throw a quick dubbing loop up in behind his head. It's better to have too much than not enough when it comes to this dubbing loop. I'm just going to throw that out there. So make it a little longer than you think you need, because unlike a small nymph, the thickness of that body is going to eat up a dubbing loop quick. Okay? So you notice how long I've made this. It's long. It's probably 6 inches long, this dubbing loop. You're not going to throw a ton of material in it, but it's got to be long or you're not going to be able to finish it. It'll become a nightmare for you. So, dubbing loop. Make sure you got all those twists out of there. Fire it up in here. Easiest thing with the dubbing loop is get that material inside the loop and then worry about spreading it out after. So we got it in the loop. It's in the loop. Just like you guys and gals. In the loop. Okay, spread it out. Spread it out evenly. Alright, there's a big dubbing loop. Now, spin it up. Spin it up. I always just give it a couple strokes here, make sure that everything's looking good. You don't want it too bushy when it comes to dragonfly heads. Okay, so we got that. And anybody that uses a dubbing loop, I got a trick. Paper clip, okay? Grab it on the back end, like so, and when you put it down, it'll stop it from spinning, undoing. So if you do exactly what I did and forget to tie off your whip finish on the head and throw it on the bobbin cradle, this will allow you to put down that dubbing loop without worrying about it unfizzling on you, unwrapping. So now you can take that paper clip back off, and let's get busy with making a beautiful head on this big old dragonfly nymph. Oh, it's looking good. And you guys are seeing how quick that is getting eaten up. One back. One back. That is looking good. We're going to go back over the eyes one more time. Bazinga. Okay, so it's always nice to have a little section. I'm going to just take a little bit of that dubbing loop out because it needs to be brought back over the eye. So what you can do in this, you see what I'm doing? I'm just pulling a bit of that dubbing loop out so that I can get the thread back in front of the head. We don't need to bulk it up nearly as much as I am, and this is going to allow me to get it back in front. Okay, so going in front, going back in behind, and back up front. Bingo, just like that. Little tricks. When you're tying nymphs and you're committed, you gotta uncommit sometimes. If that makes sense. Because I assure you, I'm not going back over this fly to redo it again. So, lock down that dragonfly loop that we put in there. Dubbing loop. Save that stuff, throw it back in your bag. And now it's time to clean up that head. Make it pretty. So, that's all I'm going to do is just finish this head off nice and pretty. Look at that. Look at that dragonfly nymph, ladies and gentlemen. So, quick whip finish off the head of the hook. And I am going to throw just a dab of Solarez on this fly just to make it look extra buggy and bulletproof it. So, back up. Tighten this guy down just a smidgen. And what we're going to do is just cut this nice and tight. So, I'm not sure if you guys can see it. See those buggy eyeballs are sticking out of there? Oh, that is going to drive those trout absolutely bonkers. I don't really like it as bushy as it is, so I'll cut a little bit of this bushiness out of the head. Just a little bit, and make sure that I got a bit of it out of the head to the bottom of the head, and taper it a little bit, but also give it a little bit of the taper that you're looking for. And you guys will see here what I'm talking about really soon, how it brings that fly back to life. You don't want to cut your wings. That would be a mistake. Pull back. Bazinga. There you go. So you're seeing the difference that makes. Now what we're going to do, I'm going to use the Solarez fin. This is a 4-ounce bottle. And it's got the stainless steel tip. You guys can get this, I believe, right off of Solarez. There's a few different manufacturers, not manufacturers, but I know Zach sells it down at Pacific Angler. We sell it at Spud Valley Sporting Goods as well. Anyhow, we're just going to give this a little dab, and we're going to show you how this new Solarez light works. Just a dab will do. And all we're doing is just darkening up that thread and making it bulletproof. That's one thing you're going to want to do when you're building Dragonfly Nymphs, because these fish are going to destroy it. So, Solarez to the rescue. And cure. So you can see from a distance, those beads are actually UV as well. So, but that's your fly right there, the BK Dragonfly Nymph variant. I'm liking it. I think this is going to be absolutely fishy. I want to see your guys's and gals' Dragonfly Nymphs and Damselfly Nymphs posted on our Facebook page. And may the best fly win. Here, we're going to go up. We'll give this a slow roll just so you guys can see it one last time. BK Dragonfly variant. Super duper easy peasy. Fish pleaser. Fisherman pleaser. Fly fishing. Go and get them. It's going to get them. And if you got a lake that's got some big fish in it, that guy right there is going to tow you around the lake. So once again, the new contest is going to get you this guy if you win. Likes and comments count as one, and shares are the multiplier. Okay, so get them shares out there. Get all your buddies to share for you. Share the love. Make sure you hit that like button for Friday Night Flies as well. Visit us over at Instagram. We got a bunch of different patterns there. If you got some real fishy patterns that you want to share with us in the world, we always want to see them, man. I'm sure you got something that I need to see too. So share those posts. But anyhow, that's what's up for grabs for this week. Bada boom, bada bing. Anyhow, ladies and gentlemen, I hope everybody's staying safe at home during these troubled times. And look forward to seeing everybody here once the sun starts shining and this COVID malarkey gets under control. Anyhow, take care of your families and your elders. And don't forget, shop locally. Support the ma, pa businesses out there. We all can use your help, okay? And another thing is, I just got word from my wife. We've got the snapback is on our website right now. So go over to FridayNightFlies.com. If your name ain't Bill, you ain't got one. So you might as well go over there. Support the mom and pa businesses out there. We're not making any money doing what we're doing. We just do it because we love it. So go over there, support us, help us with the cause here. And hopefully you guys catch some personal bests this year. Anyhow, love you all. Stay safe.